What's up, everybody? Got Jacob here, got Jason. It's been a while, like 2 weeks or something, but we've got some stuff go down.
We're in college.
Had a hurricane hit. We're all good now. Back to business. Alright, well, we want to take this time to talk about the 3-hour Raw, how we feel that it just hasn't really been all that great. And also really want to talk about the 3-hour, wait, I just said that. The social media, I call it infestation of the WWE. We'll get there. First, though, before we talk about why we're not really big fans of the 3-hour Raw, I just want to talk a little bit about, should a weekly wrestling show, even be 3 hours? Let's go back a little bit. Back in the late 90s, there was this wrestling promotion that was doing really, really well. They were doing so well, they kicked Vince McMahon pretty hard in the crotch. And there's a very good chance that he would have gone out of business. This company, of course, was WCW, and their flagship show was Monday Night Nitro. It was 2 hours. In early 1998, they made a decision to jump to 3 hours. Seemed like a good idea at the time. You know, they were doing pretty well financially and everything. Everybody was watching them. Why not? So Nitro went 3 hours, and honestly, it did start out pretty cool at first, but eventually it started to get pretty bad. You know, the show felt very long, overbooked. It just wasn't really working out. Granted, WCW had a lot of problems backstage, which of course led to their eventual demise. But my point is, when I heard that Raw was going to become 3 hours, that's what I immediately thought of. I immediately thought of the whole Nitro, because everyone thought it was a good idea at the time. Moving Raw 3 hours perhaps was a good idea at the time. But over time, can the WWE keep a consistently entertaining show? It's been about, 2 months or so since Raw's been 3 hours, and so far I'd say no. It's not really working out that well.
Not even 2 months.
Well, a month and a half.
July 23rd, so.
Well, excuse me.
Just that.
But,
it's really not good for them, though, that it's noticeable now, not even 2 months after, so.
Yeah. But before we actually go into detail why we don't think it's working out that well, Jason, do you think that a wrestling show, should even be 3 hours? I mean, we got the 3-hour pay-per-view every month, and then we have X amount of other TV. Like they have SmackDown, which is 2 hours. They got NXT. They got Superstars, each at an hour. They got, I'm not sure if you knew about this, but they got a new Saturday morning show now.
Oh, the Slam?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
what is that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not home to watch it. I'm at work. And then, of course, now we're all being 3 hours. It feels. I got a feeling that very soon the product's going to feel very, oversaturated. We get too much a week.
There is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and then there's also that applied to this, which is too much, and it's not all good.
Yeah. So I mean, do you think wrestling show should even be 3 hours? I mean, 2 hours seems fine enough to me. Seems good enough to me.
Yeah, the obvious problem with a 3-hour wrestling show is that's an extra hour that's 50% more footage that you're having to send out, so you have to keep pumping out quality material.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's the ideal case, that you're pumping out quality material.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a real shortage of superstars. There's plenty of them back there. I don't know how the payments go out, if they would lose money for sending out more of them or something like that. But right now it's like they're taking the ones that are already there and expanding on them, basically making the same storylines take up more time, but in the same proportions, almost. And they could have better talent go out there and perform, but at the same time, I have plenty of experience with video games. So I'm just going to say it like this. I'll play a 20-hour game that's very good. Yes, sure, an RPG can last 60, 80 hours. I'll sit there and play the little thing. Once you get to something crazy that demands about 200 hours to get everything in the game, it starts to get to that border of, okay, I'm all for it, but really? This much time? So that's I'm kind of applying it to this where, yes, it's all, at the very least, it's average. At the very, a lot of it's good, a lot of it's bad, but at the very least, as an overall, it's average. But
you talking about Raw as a whole now?
Yeah.
Think it's average?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd say it's average. I mean,
but it's like I'm spending too long seeing the same style of thing. There's like a lot of repeated versions of storylines that you'll do, like some guy cheated, won out of the championship. I mean, there's different details mixed in. But stuff like that, you start seeing it too often, it becomes too noticeable with the repetitive details in those. I mean, sure, you use an overall, I guess, template of it, but the details are starting to look similar, if I can say that. So, that's really my opinion on that point.
The thing about, my thing about it is, you know, with 2 hours, I feel like that's just enough time to properly have your show, showcase your storylines, showcase your wrestlers. Granted, some might not get used, but at the end of the day, it's good enough for what you need to do. Adding an extra hour on may seem like a good idea in theory, but this is another hour that they need to book. They need to put, like you said, put more quality. They need to put another quality hour. And my issue with it is, with it being 3 hours now, even though they have time, you know, the show just doesn't feel as concise. It doesn't feel as tight. It really feels like this extra hour, you know, they're pressured to, you know, just throw whatever out there. You know, that's what it feels like to me.
The way I would word it is that, like, they had the 2 hours, that was exactly what they were dishing out for years, that's exactly what they were good with, and it's like, I mean, let me say this, it's like they had reserves, and now they're pulling all those reserves into the main show, to where now whenever they don't have quite as much of what they used to have as reserves, there's not as much to put into the quality show. Yeah, if you know what I mean on that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I just think the storyline writers are very pressured to fill up this extra hour because, you know, getting a little bit of financial here. With that extra hour, that's also another hour of, you know, ads that WWE needs to put on, which also means they need to keep their advertisers happy because, you know, they need to guarantee, I'm pretty sure, like, so they need to guarantee, like, some kind of certain rating or whatnot. That way their advertisers stay happy. That way their advertisers will continue to pay the company. And if the advertisers aren't happy, they're going to leave. That's what happened. One thing that happened with WCW. But like I said, WCW had a lot more problems than WWE does. I'm just saying, like, over time, what's going to happen? Because if the past month and a half have been an indication, I don't like what I'm seeing, and it's mostly due to the writing. The writing just doesn't feel, like I said, it just doesn't feel as, you know, they feel, it's like they're under a lot of stress, in my opinion. You know, and there's times in the show that just, like a couple weeks ago, for example, it was the week before SummerSlam. The show, the whole last hour confused the ever-living crap out of me. It's like the show, it felt like the show ended like 4 times, and then it finally ended. See, okay, at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock, they had CM Punk and John Cena versus Daniel Bryan and Big Show, I believe, like a tag team match, and they were saying, you know, that's the main event. And this is also going to be the night where, you know, like the night where Brock Lesnar and Shawn Michaels, Triple H are in the same building, we're supposed to be in the same building, I'm saying like the week right before SummerSlam. Yeah. Well, they had that match, and I figured, okay, well, this match is going to go the first half hour, and then the last half hour will be the whole, you know, Brock, Shawn, Triple H stuff. Well, the match actually wasn't as long as I thought it'd be. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of quick. I look at the clock, I'm like, they still got a lot of time to fill. And then Christian versus Damien Sandow happens. I'm like, wait, why is this coming after this? Huh? Then that match happens. And then, I don't know what happened when they were booking the whole Brock Lesnar, Shawn Michaels, Triple H segments. Brock comes out with Paul, or I think Shawn came out first. And he did his promo. No, Brock came out first. Brock came out first, did his promo. Shawn came out. Shawn came out. They traded words. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. And they left the ring. They cut the commercial, which I thought was odd. They come back, and I think Triple H just arrived at the building. I may be getting things out of order here. It's been a few weeks. It's probably out of order. But like Triple H finally shows up. They got the commercial again. They come back, and they're in a parking lot. And Paul Heyman causes that wreck with Shawn Michaels, and Brock Lesnar comes out and starts beating on Shawn Michaels in the parking lot. I believe they cut the commercial again. They come back. Finally, they're in the ring, and Brock Lesnar breaks Shawn Michaels' arm. It's like, okay, so in the span of like 30 minutes, you cut the commercial like 3 or 4 times, and like that show could have ended like 3 or 4 times right there. And that's what I mean. Like, it feels like they at times they don't know what they're doing. They're just putting. That just didn't feel like tight and concise to me. That just felt like, let's go to commercial. That's another thing. At least when they first started, people were complaining about all the commercials that were airing. There's a lot more commercials now.
Oh, yeah, it's an hour long.
I know, but I mean, like, even during normal parts, like, they cut the commercial. I remember, like, the first show after the 1000th episode, I read some comments, people saying, like live commentary, like, commercial? Really? You just had one. Another one? Really? Oh, come on, guys. Like, it just kept going.
I don't remember. I have TiVo. Oh,
yeah, sorry, I skip. I'm going by what.
That's not even a really big issue to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's just the other people. It was an issue. It's just, I don't know, the writing is just
lackluster.
Yeah, writing has been lackluster. And it's amazing to me. A year ago, the writing was really good. The product as a whole was awesome. I mean, they had the whole CM Punk thing going, which I'll get to CM Punk in a second. Yeah, like I said, the writing was really well back then. The show was great, and somewhere along the way, they just dropped off. Like, I'm not sure when they started to go down, but I'm not saying Raw's gone downhill now just because of 3 hours. It was starting before it went 3 hours, but the 3 hours now is just like, you know,
permanent handicap almost.
Yeah. Yeah.